You already know that countless bird species once filled the skies with color and song, but many of those voices have gone silent. When the camera was invented in the 1800s, we finally had a way to capture the last moments of creatures before they disappeared. In today's video, I'm going to show you the last photos ever taken of 7 extinct birds. Number 7, the great auk. Imagine a bird that looked like a penguin but lived in the freezing North Atlantic. The great auk couldn't fly at all. It was small, about 5 kilos in weight, with black and white feathers that helped it blend into the rocky coasts of Canada, Greenland, Iceland, and Northern Europe. These birds spent their lives near cold water, diving deep to catch fish and survive. Each year, the female laid only one egg, large, white, marked with dark patterns. That single egg carried the species' future, but that also made them vulnerable. In the 1700s and 1800s, sailors discovered the great auk was an easy target. The birds couldn't escape on land. They moved slowly, waddling across rocks. Hunters killed them by the thousands for meat, for feathers, even for their eggs. Some were boiled alive for oil. By the early 1800s, their numbers collapsed. The last confirmed pair was spotted in 1844 on a small island near Iceland. 2 fishermen killed them both and smashed their egg. No camera existed to capture them alive. What remains are preserved specimens in museums, feathers, bones, glass eyes staring at nothing. A species that once covered Atlantic shores now exists only behind locked cases. Number 6, the Carolina parakeet. This was one of the most striking birds ever to live in North America. Bright green body, golden head, orange face. It wasn't just colorful, it was bold. The Carolina parakeet was the only native parrot on the continent's eastern plains and forests. These birds traveled in noisy, playful flocks that filled the skies of the southeastern United States. They fed on seeds, especially cocklebur seeds, which are poisonous to most animals. After eating them, the parakeets themselves became toxic. Any predator, even a hungry cat, could die just from eating one. But this natural defense didn't protect them from humans. In the early 1900s, people in America fell in love with fashion made from feathers. A particular hat decorated with parakeet feathers became wildly popular across the country. Hunters began targeting them in massive numbers. Their bright feathers flooded markets everywhere. Farmers saw them as pests, too. The parakeets raided crops in search of seeds, so they were shot by the hundreds. The real mystery is how fast they vanished. In 1896, a healthy flock was still nesting. Yet, by 1904, they had almost completely disappeared. How could millions vanish in just 8 years? The last Carolina parakeet was a bird named Incas. Shockingly, Incas was kept in the same cage as Martha, the last passenger pigeon. Incas died in 1918, only 4 years after Martha. The final photo shows a lonely bird, once common across the entire eastern United States, now gone forever from the wild skies. Number 5, the passenger pigeon. At first glance, this might seem like just another pigeon you'd see in a city, but the passenger pigeon was nothing like that. It once filled the skies of North America in numbers so vast they darkened the sun. A single flock could take hours to pass overhead. There were billions of them flying together, creating a living storm of wings and sound. They nested in huge colonies that covered miles of forest. But this flood of birds didn't last. European settlers cut down the forests relentlessly, destroying the trees where the pigeons lived and nested. Survival became harder with each passing year. Then people realized these birds were easy prey, an endless source of cheap meat. Hunting became ruthless and organized. Passenger pigeons were shot by the thousands daily. They were served for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Their numbers dropped at an unimaginable speed. What once seemed endless was gone in decades. By 1914, only one was left. A female named Martha lived at the Cincinnati Zoo. She spent her final years alone in a cage, the last survivor of a species that once ruled the skies in the billions. When Martha died on September 1, 1914, so did her kind entirely. The final photo of Martha shows an exhausted bird, her wings folded, her eyes dull. A chilling reminder of how fast humans can wipe out even the most abundant species. Number 4, the ivory-billed woodpecker. Woodpeckers are famous for their powerful beaks, sharp enough to drill straight into solid trees. But among them, one stood above the rest. The ivory-billed woodpecker was the largest woodpecker ever known to exist in North America. It lived in the deep forests of the southeastern United States and Cuba. Its feathers were black with white stripes, and males had a bright red crest on their heads. These birds depended on old, towering trees filled with beetle larvae and insects. But once logging companies started cutting them down in the early 1900s, the woodpeckers began to vanish. Their habitat disappeared tree by tree, mile by mile. By the 1920s, spotting one was almost impossible. In the United States, the last confirmed sighting came in 1944 in northeastern Louisiana. In Cuba, the final group was captured in 1987. Yet, in 1935, long before people realized they were nearly gone, someone managed to film them. Rare footage shows the woodpecker clinging to a tree, its beak striking wood in steady rhythm. Ghostly proof of a bird many thought would always be with us. So here's the twist that haunts researchers today. While most believe the ivory-billed woodpecker is extinct, some still whisper about sightings deep in hidden swamps. Could this giant bird still be out there? Number 3. The laughing owl. This owl was one of the strangest birds ever to live in New Zealand. Instead of nesting high in trees like most owls, it preferred dark caves and rocky crevices as shelter. At night, it slipped out into the open and hunted insects, tuatara, and even small birds, moving silently through the darkness. But what really set it apart was its call. Imagine walking through the quiet New Zealand night and suddenly hearing what sounded like a person laughing in the distance. That eerie sound wasn't human at all. It was the laughing owl. Early European settlers were startled by the sound, a series of loud, echoing cries that seemed almost mocking in the stillness. Sadly, the same people who were amazed by it also doomed it to extinction. They brought rats, cats, and stoats that raided nests. They also hunted the owl directly for specimens. By 1914, the last known laughing owl was seen. The old photograph shows that final bird, feathers ruffled, eyes wide, clinging to a branch. A reminder of a voice in the dark that will never be heard again. Number 2. The paradise parrot. The paradise parrot was once called one of the most beautiful parrots on Earth. It lived only in Queensland, Australia, where it roamed open grasslands and quiet woodlands. These birds had brilliant colors: bright green body, red forehead, turquoise shoulder patches, and yellow belly. They usually stayed in pairs or small groups, keeping close to each other for safety. But unlike most parrots, they didn't nest in trees. Instead, they carved out homes inside termite mounds right on the ground, a strange choice that made them stand out and more vulnerable. In the early 1900s, disaster struck the region. A severe drought in 1902 may have been the breaking point. Their numbers collapsed rapidly, and sightings became rare. Habitat loss from farming made survival even harder. By 1927, the last confirmed sighting was recorded. One haunting photo from 1922 shows a paradise parrot slipping into its termite mound nest. That image became the last record of the bird before it vanished completely from the wild. By 1950, the species was officially declared extinct. Yet here's the twist that still puzzles researchers. Some wonder if their unusual nesting habits underground might have kept a few hidden longer than we thought. Could a bird this striking really disappear without leaving any trace behind at all? Number 1. The kauai. Around 15 to 20 million years ago, a family of birds appeared in the Hawaiian Islands called the moho, or Hawaiian honey-eaters. This family once had about 7 species, each with unique songs and brilliant feathers. When Polynesian settlers arrived around 1000 AD, they hunted these birds so heavily that 2 species disappeared before Europeans ever arrived. But in 1778, Europeans came to the islands, and with them came cats, rats, mongooses, and even mosquitoes carrying deadly diseases. These invaders devastated the fragile Hawaiian ecosystem. 3 more species vanished rapidly from the islands. That left only one survivor, the kauai. This bird had glossy black feathers with yellow patches under its wings and bright yellow thigh tufts. Males sang complex, haunting songs to attract mates, calls that echoed through the mountain forests. By 1960, fewer than 40 kawai remained alive. In 1970, the first and only video of this bird was recorded in the wild, the same footage you see today. In 1981, the last known pair was spotted, but tragedy struck when a hurricane killed the female. For 5 long years, the very last kawai kept singing alone in the empty forests, calling desperately for a mate that would never come. The sound you heard is that final heartbreaking call. The lonely voice of a species fading forever, echoing through silent trees with no answer. When he finally stopped singing, an entire lineage, millions of years of evolution, ended in silence. The loss of these birds reminds us how fragile beauty truly is, and how quickly the voices of nature can disappear. If you enjoyed this video, check out this next one and subscribe if you don't want to miss what's coming.